An American citizen can leave the country and be an expatriate for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. A green card holder cannot vote. They can't serve on a jury. If they commit a crime of any seriousness whatsoever, they lose their green card, they get deported. Remember I said it's an ugly duckling stage. You've got to keep your nose clean. Okay? If they leave for more than 6 months or a year or so, the immigration says, wait a minute, you said you wanted to be a permanent resident. Clearly you don't want to be a permanent resident, no more green card for you. Okay? If they commit a crime and they go to jail, as the jail, when they finish their sentence, as the jail door opens and the sunshine comes in and they go running out and they're just about ready to say Yahoo, there's 2 big immigration officers on each side that grab their arms and say, wait a minute, you've paid your debt to society on the criminal end of things. However, you violated your green card, so we're going to have a little talk in our jail, which is not a criminal jail, it's a civil detention. And we're going to make diplomatic arrangements with your home country to, we're going to get an immigration judge to hear your case, or you're deported, stick you on an airplane with handcuffs, and send you back. So that's, I guess, sort of the basic difference.
And they can't work for the U.S. government.
I believe that is true in the vast majority of cases. I'm not sure if that's true of every single case. But that,
Majority.
okay. So question, then question. Yes, sir.
Are, because of the economy, are a lot of them leaving?
Some are leaving. Okay, nothing like what you would expect. The word I'm hearing is, like 1 or 2% are leaving. Now in Danbury, where the mayor and the police have sought special dispensation to be deputized by immigration to hassle every single immigrant-looking person, whatever that means. Remember those comedians? To hassle and harass every immigrant-looking person. Now there, you're finding about 5%, 8% of the immigrants are leaving Danbury and going to Port Chester, Stanford, Norwalk, etc. And you find the economy in Danbury is starting to suffer. There's not as many people to rent apartments. There's not as many people to go shopping, etc. They really cut their nose to spite their face. Question?
Can you talk about the impact on Social Security and Medicare?
Oh, great. Medicare. First of all, they're not eligible for Medicare. Medicare, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be legal. Okay? An illegal cannot get Medicare. Just like they can't get welfare, and if they do, a lot of people go to jail. Okay? Social Security. Great. Thank you for bringing that up. We talked about how the IRS says about 75% of them are paying taxes. When they pay taxes, many of them are not high income, and if they were legal, they would get a refund, but they don't. So actually, an illegal immigrant, or undocumented immigrant, who is one of that 75% paying taxes, they pay more taxes than the Americans do the same because they can't get the refund. They're putting more in. That's number one. Number two, they're contributing to Social Security, but they're not going to collect. And in fact, the Social Security Administration, I'm pretty sure that's in the materials with the citation, okay? The Social Security Administration says that since the inception of Social Security, $500 billion has been paid into the system that is never going to be paid out because they're undocumented immigrants. And every year, another $10 billion gets pumped in, $10 to $15 billion gets pumped into Social Security that's never going to be collected by the people paying.
Reduces our deficit.
They're paying the taxes, etc. Okay, question? Question, yes, sir.
What is a fair and appropriate solution to this problem based on the experience you've had as a lawyer and watching the Congress work?
Well, I believe, first of all, we need a way to allow the people our economy needs to come here legally, because we don't have that. That's number one. Number two, we need a way for the people who violated the law, but are otherwise, who have violated the civil law, they're being here and working here illegally, but otherwise they're great citizens. Okay? We need a way for them to pay their debt to society, $1,000, $2,000, extra 10% of their taxes, make them wait for a blue card for 1,000,000 years, etc., etc. Pay their debt to society, and let's all move on. That's what I think would be fair. Question?
Back to the Social Security, I've heard that with the recent economic stimulus package, that there's a link to paying Social Security to immigrants, illegal immigrants.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
In other words, if the stimulus package is signed, there's something in there, a link to it, that now allows Social Security to be paid to illegal aliens.
I don't know about that, and that, maybe so, but that, for me, that's unimaginable. Unimaginable. I mean, even the most pro-immigrant person wouldn't be for something like that. We need to straighten out the system. We can't be sprinkling gifts all over the place. Okay? Couple more. I think there's 2 people who haven't had a chance to ask questions. Let me take this gentleman first and this gentleman second. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mel.
What happens when they become ill?
Okay, great question. Okay, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, they're using all kinds of social services and the rest of it. It's true. They go to the hospital, they don't have insurance. And hospitals are running, that is a loss to hospitals. Absolutely. They go to school, their kids go to school. Now, most of those kids are US citizens. Okay, but if you say, well, if we don't let the parents in, they're born here, they won't be going to school, that's another expense. The counter-argument to that is, when you look at all those economic studies, showing are they a net positive or net negative or what, excuse me, on average, if you include all the loss, the stuff on what you're losing side of the ledger and the gaining side of the ledger, you tend to be slightly positive on the first generation, the ones who came here, and then you get the regular positive benefits of a regular citizen for all the future generations. And then this gentleman over there.
How does an illegal resident leave the country legally?
They can't. If you leave the United States, if you've been here more than a year illegally,
You show up at the border, what's the process? You don't have a passport?
you're talking about
How do you
first
get
of
out
all,
of the country?
anybody showing up at a port of entry, that is a port of entry at the border, or a seaport, or an airport, who's not a US citizen, must prove that they have permission to be here, or to come here. A tourist visa, a work visa, a student visa, there's treaty visas, and a few other things like that. You don't, you get sent back. End of story.
Going the other way.
You
Jose
mean
wants to
leaving?
go back to Mexico. How does he do it legally?
How does he go to Mexico, or has he come back here?
No. How does he's in the country illegally.
Right, he's in the US, how does he go to
get back
Mexico?
Mexico, other than going back illegally across the border. How do you-
All right, let's back up a second. If a Mexican goes to Mexico, he's not doing anything illegal. That's where he is allowed to be. Okay, so you get on an airplane, the airplane lands in Mexico City, you get off, you say, hola, hola compadres, okay? If you cross the border, US Immigration says, thank God he's out of here. All right, and the Mexican authorities say, you're in.
Berns got the last question. He's had his hand up quite a while.
I've had that, but I
This
want
is
to
the
read
second
this,
shot.
the second shot. I want to read this paper. How do you define the word immigrants here? Is that the 12 million undocumented immigrants? Is that
The word immigrant means somebody not born here who is making a living. Okay? The definition of immigrant, and by the way, I don't know if the word immigrant is defined in the law, okay? But the sense of it is, an immigrant is somebody who is not born here, who is intending to or is making a life here. And that's legal, illegal, etc.
How many is that per year that come into the United States?
Legally or?
And illegally totally in this definition?
Okay, legally, I think it's something like 1 or 2 million a year.
You're talking about 13, 14, you got 12 million.
You got 12 million undocumented. You have 24 million foreign-born who are in various stages of legal, in other words, green card or citizens already. Okay, and then you have an additional 1 or 2 million, something like that, coming in legally as immigrants, green card holders. And then remember I said non-immigrant, that's a visa, temporary visa to come here, do something. That's not an immigrant. They're not coming here to make a life. They're coming here to do something and leave, okay? But remember I said of the 12 million, half of them came over the border or by boat, unscheduled boat. And the other half came in with these temporary visas and then stayed longer than they were supposed to stay. So I don't know if I quite answered your question or if I did some coaching on it.
All right, Phil, thank you so much.